So we took a very old phrase, it's actually a Roman phrase, in vino veritas. It means in wine there is truth. And the idea was that the Romans would always use wine to make sure that they got to the core of an issue, because they knew that people's filters come down and they speak the truth. So in wine there is truth. We wanted to come up with a second part to that phrase. And so we actually invented the second part to that phrase, which is in servicium fabulus. And what that means is that in beer, there are stories. My name is Stephen Kay, and I've lived in Chico for the last 31 years. I have many passions, but the one we're going to talk about today is brewing beer and opening up a public house in downtown Chico. So I originally grew up in southeast London on the borders of Kent, which is the countryside. It's also where most of the hops come from in England. My parents put me in the local church choir. And the first practice I went to, when we decamped from practicing, they wheeled me straight over to the local pub. So my introduction to the pub and beer was kind of in an early stage. Very legal in the UK, but nevertheless it was an early entrance. What I quickly established is that A, I really like beer, and B, I really couldn't afford beer. And I found that in a local pharmacy, or a chemist as they would say in the UK, they would have brew kits. I quickly got heavily into brewing, I really enjoyed it. So I was constantly brewing a batch or two of beer, and people used to enjoy drinking it. So it was a nice hobby. After I got through university though, you get a real job, and so at that point I transitioned and decided that even though I was a microbiologist, I decided to become an accountant. So the brewing kind of really just disappeared at that point. But after 30 plus years of being an accountant, you really hanker for something as you're sort of like coming towards the end of that kind of career flow, and it's like, I really want to do something with my hands. I started homebrewing again about maybe 12, 14 years ago, or no, more than that now, probably about 15 to 20 years ago. And the craft industry had just become this entire IPA thing. You know, they say, well, what do you miss being in the US? And I really miss my UK beers. You know, nice malty, low hop beers, you know, served at not room temperature, but cooler, like 50 degrees. So where you get more flavor, more taste. In fact, I love having a foot in both camps. I really enjoy the UK, I really enjoy America. And so I kind of gravitate to the best pieces of all of it. When I finally decided to pull back from one of my last full-time consulting roles, I was looking for something to do as what I thought was going to be a retirement position, a retirement job, retirement business. And my son-in-law, who had started brewing with me on a regular basis for most of those 20 years, said, well, why don't we start up a small microbrewery? And I kept going, no, it's a hobby, we don't want to do it. There's no money in it, it's not going to work, And, but in the end he said, well, you're the accountant, show me a business plan and show me it doesn't work, and then I'll stop bugging you about it. So I wrote a business plan for a brewery that I thought I didn't want, and found that actually on a cash flow basis, running it as a small, never to be large village brewery, it looked like on paper that would make some sense. It came at a good time. I had the ability and the finances to try it out, so we gave it the good college try. You only find out what you don't know when you go into something, right? So you find all of the hidden costs and the things like that. So what we realized is that in order to make this make sense, we needed to go vertical. So the idea was to find a tap room, and we started looking around just for a small shop where we could set up a small tap room. But as we started looking for tap rooms, we spoke to one landlord who said, no, the place you're looking at that I have, that's not going to work well, but I have a place for you to look at. And he said, but it's in downtown Chico. And we knew if we came to downtown Chico, we would have to, as part of our license, have to do food. And so we weren't really all about that, because at that point we were thinking of a tap room. But we said, you know what, we'll go take a look at it anyway. And so we came to look at it, and we walked through the courtyard, which if you know the pub now, it's a beautiful courtyard. We turned around the corner, and essentially what we realized is that we were staring at a Victorian pub in downtown London. And immediately the family looked at it and we went, I guess we're doing this then. We completely redid the internal decorations to make this place look very much like a London pub because we knew them pretty well. It took us about 7 or 8 months to do all of that work. And 6 months later, COVID struck. And we went, what the heck have we done? It had an immediate and dramatic effect. Clearly, we had to shut shop. We wanted to follow the rules. But what it meant was that we had to basically make our way through that whole COVID period and try and do whatever we could to really offset our ongoing infrastructure costs, because all of these things need to be paid. So basically the family, just myself, my wife, my son-in-law and my daughter, we ran this place with to-go pies, to-go pasties and to-go growlers. And so it took us 2 weeks to reconfigure the entire thing around that model, to tape out the floor with the 6 feet gaps in, and to remodel the entire business. And we did that, and we did it pretty successfully. So we basically worked our way through COVID. As we started to peer out the other side of it, we took some of our original staff back on and we started to grow the pub back up again. Oddly enough, though, it's never really come back like it did before COVID, because people have got used to not going out. And there's still a lot of people that work from home and just don't come out anymore. British Bulldog Brewery was actually named when I was a home brewery. So I was brewing beer, and a friend of mine who would come over and help me drink all of my beer, he said, you need to come up with a name for your brewery. And I went, it's a home brew. He goes, no, you're not a home brewer. You're a brewery that brews on a very small scale. So we started hunting for a name, and we love history. So we decided we would like to call it Churchill Brewery, but they didn't have a really good ring to it. But if you put a suit on the British Bulldog and you put a stogie in his mouth, you suddenly got Winston Churchill if it's a bulldog. So we decided to call it the British Bulldog Brewery. Had no idea at that point that we would become commercial, but we just started doing it. And that's where I started basically doing labels for each of the beers and just following through with that thread. Since we were using really Churchill as kind of like the point of the brewery, we started to identify the beers with a lot of World War II activities and things like that. But then we wanted to, when we became a brewery, that's when we decided that we wanted to do American style as well. And that's where kind of the whole start of the Allies came from, because effectively it was more than just British at this point. It was the British and the Allies in many ways. So it's about mixing the best of American and British and our other allies, the French and the Scots and the Irish. And then also, we wanted to be the allies because we wanted to use local produce in our food. We wanted to make sure that we were linked into local businesses. So we were allies with our local business, allies with the town. So it kind of became a bigger name, but that's really what the Allies all stands for. So the community aspect has always been very important to the pub. We did deliberately make this into a British-style public house. And a British-style public house, for people that don't know and haven't been over there, is a center of the community, particularly in villages. And we kind of figure that we feel like, Chico is like a large village. We always have worked on trying to bring events, music, and everything that the community would want here. Here, this patio is incredibly private. We have music booked over for the next year. People, as soon as we open up dates, it gets filled. It's a very special place in downtown Chico. Having said that, it is a little remote, so we are still building a lot of people who still don't know that we exist around here, because we are a hidden gem that's off of the beaten track. And a lot of people that we have here, they know the British pub scene. It's not a bar, it's not a get drunk place, it's not just about a restaurant, it's about a meeting place, it's about meeting friends, celebrating happy times and commiserating bad times, but basically it's a place where you come and discuss things with friends and family. So we borrowed from the UK model. So in the UK, there are over 240 community-owned pubs. And so we put it to the community. We got founding investors, founding members, and we did do that. So on the 1st of January 2025, this pub became a community benefit organization, a 501c3 nonprofit. So we kind of went from being a pub with a venue to now being a venue with a pub. And the whole point of this is to be a focal center for bringing people together, to prevent isolation, inclusive, and to run projects that the community really want to be involved in. So I think what I've learned is it's really it's still the road of hard knocks, right? So it's still the school of hard knocks, because this was a completely new environment for us. We'd never been in service, we'd never done anything like this, we'd never run a restaurant, we'd never run a brewery, we'd never run a bar. And you learn very, very fast. So I think being adaptive and creative and being able to change and take on challenges without it taking the wind out of your sail is very important. Some ideas are leaps, other ones are growth. And you have to decide, where you are on that. But I think listening and learning as you go along, I would never have changed doing this for the world, but it's been really hard. And there's very, very highs, and there's a lot of really bad lows. And being able to have the personality to recover from those quickly and set about fixing things or set about taking on the next challenge, I think that's at the core of it. If that's not in your DNA, then turning something from a small idea to a large idea is going to be a really big hurdle for you.